The Chicago International Airport buzzed with its usual energy, boarding calls echoing across terminals, the chatter of hurried passengers, and the rhythmic hum of luggage wheels rolling across polished floors. Amid this controlled chaos, Marcus Hayes moved purposefully. At 6 feet tall, with an air of quiet confidence, Marcus was hard to miss. Dressed in a simple blazer paired with dark jeans and pulling a sleek carry-on, he blended into the sea of travelers. To onlookers, he appeared to be just another passenger. What no one could guess, however, was that Marcus Hayes was the newly appointed CEO of Blue Sky Airlines, a leading U.S. carrier. Determined to experience his airline service without the filter of his title, Marcus had decided to fly anonymously. No fanfare, no VIP treatment, just an ordinary journey to gauge how his staff treated their customers. His decision to approach leadership from the ground up spoke volumes about his values. He believed that the true test of a company lay not in its policies, but in the actions of its employees. However, what Marcus was about to witness would challenge his faith in his team and spark a moment of reckoning. As Marcus approached the Blue Sky Airlines check-in counter, he adjusted his travel documents and waited patiently behind a family struggling with their bags. A hint of a smile crossed his face as he watched a young boy excitedly tug at his mother's sleeve, pointing to planes outside the glass windows. Moments like these reminded Marcus why he loved aviation. The thrill, the wonder, the connections it created. When his turn came, he stepped forward, greeted by 2 staff members behind the counter, Paula Green and Ryan Thompson. Paula, a blonde woman in her late 30s, wore a forced smile that barely masked her irritation. Ryan, a bald man with sharp features, stood beside her, his arms crossed and an air of disinterest hanging around him. Both were known among their peers for their dismissive attitudes, especially toward passengers they deemed difficult. "Good afternoon," Marcus said, his voice warm and polite, carrying a soft Southern accent, a nod to his Alabama roots. "I'm flying to Los Angeles today. Could I check in my bag, please?" Paula raised an eyebrow, her expression unreadable, and replied flatly, "Name?" "Marcus Hayes," he answered, handing over his ID. Paula tapped his name into the system with exaggerated effort. After a few seconds, she frowned and let out a theatrical sigh. "I'm not seeing any reservation under that name," she said, her tone clipped. "That's strange," Marcus replied, maintaining his composure. "I booked this flight 2 weeks ago. Could you double-check, please?" He extended his phone to show his booking confirmation. Ryan leaned over to glance at the screen and smirked. "Maybe he's at the wrong airline," he muttered just loud enough for Marcus to hear. Paula chuckled, her lips curling into a smug grin. "Yeah, happens all the time," she added dismissively. Marcus felt the familiar sting of their words, but refused to let it show. His years of experience had taught him the power of restraint. He nodded calmly and said, "Would you mind checking again? Here's my confirmation." Paula snatched the phone from his hand, her movements brusque. After a moment, she muttered under her breath, "Guess it's here after all." She handed the phone back, her expression clearly disappointed. Before Marcus could thank her, Ryan chimed in mockingly, "Next time, try booking properly online. Might save you some trouble." Their quiet laughter echoed like a challenge in the air. Behind him, a couple waiting in line exchanged uncomfortable glances. Marcus, however, remained composed. "Is there a supervisor I could speak with?" he asked, his tone calm but firm. "Why?" Paula snapped, her irritation barely concealed. "We already checked you in." Marcus didn't flinch. "I insist," he replied, his voice unyielding. Within minutes, the check-in supervisor, Donald Carter, arrived. The moment Donald laid eyes on Marcus, his demeanor changed instantly. His face paled as he recognized the airline's top executive. "Mr. Hayes," Donald stammered, his voice faltering. "I wasn't aware you were flying with us today." Paula and Ryan exchanged panicked glances, their smug confidence evaporating in an instant. "Good afternoon, Mr. Carter," Marcus said, his tone polite yet commanding. "I've had an interesting check-in experience." Donald's eyes widened as the gravity of the situation became clear. "Let's get this sorted immediately," he said, his voice trembling. But Marcus raised a hand, stopping him. "Actually," he said, gesturing toward the counter. "I'd like to have a quick chat right here." He turned to Paula and Ryan, his gaze steady. "Miss Green, Mr. Thompson, is there anything you'd like to say about how you handled this interaction?" Paula stammered, her voice barely audible. "We didn't know. I mean, we were just trying to follow procedure." "Procedure?" Marcus repeated, his tone measured. "Does procedure involve mocking a customer and refusing proper service?" Ryan tried to interject, his voice defensive. "We didn't mean anything by it. Just joking around." Marcus tilted his head slightly, his expression unreadable. "I see. Mr. Carter," he said, turning back to the supervisor, "I'll need a full incident report from both of them. Please ensure they're placed on leave effective immediately." "Yes, sir," Donald replied without hesitation. Marcus looked at Paula and Ryan one last time. Blue Sky Airlines has zero tolerance for discrimination or disrespect toward our passengers. No one deserves to be treated the way I was today, whether they're the CEO or not. As he walked away, the weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. Marcus knew this was more than an isolated incident. It was a reflection of a deeper issue within the company, and he was determined to fix it, no matter what it took. The tension at Blue Sky Airlines headquarters in downtown Chicago was palpable. Whispers filled the sleek, modern halls as employees made their way toward the state-of-the-art auditorium. Rumors of the incident at the Chicago International Airport had spread like wildfire, leaving everyone on edge. The newly appointed CEO, Marcus Hayes, had called an emergency company-wide meeting, a move that signaled something significant was about to happen. Inside the packed auditorium, employees from all departments, flight crews, customer service representatives, and senior managers sat in uneasy silence. The spotlight shone on the stage, where a single microphone awaited. Moments later, Marcus Hayes stepped forward, his expression calm yet resolute. Dressed in a tailored suit, he exuded authority, but his eyes carried a weight that silenced the room. "Good afternoon," Marcus began, his deep, steady voice filling the space. "I've called this meeting to address an issue that goes against everything Blue Sky Airlines stands for." The room was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Marcus paused, scanning the audience, letting the gravity of his words settle. He knew this wasn't just about addressing a single incident. It was about setting a new standard for accountability and respect within the company. "Last week, at our check-in counter in Chicago," he continued, "two of our employees displayed behavior that was not only unprofessional but discriminatory." A ripple of whispers spread through the crowd. Some shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others exchanged knowing glances. But as Marcus continued, the murmurs quickly died down. "I was the passenger they disrespected," Marcus said, his voice unwavering. Gasps echoed throughout the room as the realization hit. Employees stared at their CEO in shock, struggling to process what they had just heard. "I arrived dressed casually," Marcus explained, speaking with my natural accent, "and that was enough for them to assume I was less deserving of respect." His words hung in the air, heavy with emotion. "They mocked my accent, questioned my booking, and treated me as though I didn't belong. But this isn't about me being the CEO. It's about how they might have treated countless others when no one important was watching." The silence in the room was deafening. Marcus scanned the audience again, making eye contact with staff members who suddenly seemed unable to meet his gaze. "This behavior is unacceptable," Marcus declared. "Blue Sky Airlines serves passengers from all backgrounds, nationalities, and cultures. Discrimination, whether based on appearance, language, or anything else, has no place here. We cannot claim to be an industry leader if we tolerate this kind of behavior at any level." Marcus gestured toward Donald Carter, who stood near the back of the room, his posture rigid with attention. "I want to thank Mr. Carter for handling the situation with integrity. He reported the incident immediately, allowing us to act swiftly." Turning back to the crowd, Marcus continued, "From this day forward, there will be no room for complacency. We are launching a company-wide initiative focused on diversity, inclusion, and respect. Training will be mandatory for every employee, from our frontline staff to our executive leadership. This is not optional. Respect is not optional." Applause began to ripple through the audience, but Marcus held up a hand, silencing it. Two employees involved in this incident, Paula Green and Ryan Thompson, have been terminated for gross misconduct. This decision was not made lightly, but it was necessary. Their behavior did not align with our values, and it is our responsibility to ensure that such behavior is never repeated. He paused, his gaze firm yet sincere. Let this serve as a reminder. Leadership isn't about sitting in an office. It's about ensuring that respect and integrity are upheld at every level. It's about holding ourselves accountable, even when no one is watching. The room erupted into applause, this time louder and more sustained. Employees, many of whom had witnessed or experienced similar incidents in the past, felt a renewed sense of purpose. For the first time in a long time, they believed in the company's commitment to change. Later that afternoon, an official email was sent out to all Blue Sky Airlines employees. The memo detailed the incident, the termination of Paula Green and Ryan Thompson, and the launch of the company's new training program. It also outlined a series of customer service protocol changes designed to ensure that every passenger, regardless of background, would be treated with dignity and respect. The media soon caught wind of the story, and Marcus Hayes became the face of a new movement in the airline industry. In interviews, he emphasized the importance of accountability and integrity. This isn't just about one incident, he explained. It's about setting a higher standard, not just for Blue Sky Airlines, but for the industry as a whole. The changes implemented by Blue Sky Airlines became a benchmark for others to follow. Mandatory diversity and inclusion training sessions were held monthly, and anonymous customer feedback was prioritized like never before. Within weeks, the airline's reputation began to recover. Passengers shared stories of improved experiences on social media, praising the company's swift action and commitment to fairness. For Marcus, the incident at the airport was a painful but necessary wake-up call. It reminded him that leadership was not about titles or power. It was about creating an environment where everyone, from employees to customers, felt valued and respected. And as he walked through the halls of Blue Sky Airlines headquarters, hearing employees greet him with genuine smiles, Marcus knew the company was on the right path. The reckoning had sparked a transformation, and under Marcus Hayes' leadership, Blue Sky Airlines was determined to soar higher than ever before.